Have you ever noticed that no matter what you buy, no matter how much you achieve, no matter who you are with, something still feels missing? The emptiness deep inside that nothing in this world seems to fill. You thought success would satisfy you, but it didn't. You thought money, friends, or even relationships would cure the emptiness, but they didn't. Why? Because the heart was never designed to be satisfied with the temporary. It was created to only find peace with the one who gave it life. We live in a time where everything around us screams, chase more, buy more, achieve more, show more. Yet the more we chase, the more empty we feel. Look around. People smiling on social media, traveling, buying expensive things, living what looks like the perfect life. But deep down, many of them are restless, anxious, even depressed. Why? Because no matter how much of the world you feed your soul, it remains hungry. The body can be full of food, but the heart can still be starving. And the truth is, the hunger of the heart cannot be fed by money, status, or even people's love. It can only be filled by the remembrance of Allah, by connecting back to the source of true satisfaction. Allah tells us in the Qur'an, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest." That is the secret we keep ignoring, and that's why nothing satisfies us anymore. Have you ever wondered why nothing in life seems to satisfy you anymore? You reach one goal, and immediately you are chasing another. You buy something new, and after a short while it loses its value in your eyes. You spend years waiting for a moment that you think will change everything, and when you finally get there, you realize it was not as fulfilling as you imagined. This cycle keeps repeating itself, and with each repetition, the emptiness inside grows louder. You try to silence it with distractions, with entertainment, with achievements, but it never goes away. That emptiness is not random, it is a sign. It is your soul crying out for something deeper, something lasting, something beyond what this world can ever give. The human heart was created with a purpose, and that purpose is not to be filled with material possessions or temporary pleasures. The heart was designed to be attached to the one who created it. When you disconnect from that source, you can pour the entire world into your chest and it will still feel empty. Think about it. People today have more access to wealth, technology, comfort, and luxury than entire empires of the past, yet anxiety, stress, and depression are everywhere. How? Because satisfaction does not come from outside, comes from within. And within, the heart cannot find peace unless it remembers its creator. You can feed your body with food, but that will never feed your soul. You can surround yourself with people, but that will not cure the loneliness of a disconnected heart. You can collect money, cars, houses, and clothes, but you will always crave the next thing because material possessions were never designed to cure spiritual hunger. Just like a car cannot run on water, your heart cannot run on worldly pleasures. It only runs on connection with the divine. That is why people who seem to have nothing can still smile with peace, while others who have everything still cry themselves to sleep. Think about the times you achieved something you worked so hard for. At first there is excitement, a rush of joy, a moment where you feel complete. But it does not last. Soon you are searching again, restless again, empty again. That is because the soul is eternal, and it cannot be satisfied by things that are temporary. The hunger of the soul is deeper than the hunger of the body. The body needs food and drink, but the soul needs meaning and purpose. And that meaning comes only from your relationship with your Creator. This world is like an illusion. It promises happiness, but always leaves you wanting more. You thought money would fix your problems, but when you got more money, new problems appeared. You thought success would finally give you peace, but success only brought pressure and comparison. You thought relationships would heal your loneliness, but people come and go, and even those closest to you cannot fill the void inside. Every time you place your happiness in the hands of this world, it disappoints you. But when you place your happiness in the hands of the one who never disappoints, you discover a peace that nothing can take away. The reason nothing satisfies you anymore is because you were not created for this world alone. You were created for something greater, something beyond the limits of what your eyes can see and your hands can touch. This life is temporary, and everything in it is temporary. That is why it fades. That is why it slips through your fingers, no matter how tightly you hold it. The heart longs for what is eternal, and only the eternal can satisfy it. So if you feel that emptiness today, do not ignore it. It is not a sign that you are broken. It is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a reminder. A reminder that your soul is thirsty, and nothing in this world can quench that thirst. Only prayer, remembrance, reflection, and sincere connection to your Creator can fill that void. The more you turn to Him, the lighter your chest feels. The more you call upon Him, the more the weight inside begins to lift. And the less you depend on this world for happiness, the more peace you find in every situation. Real satisfaction does not come when life is perfect. It comes when the heart learns to rest in the presence of the one who is perfect. It comes when you realize that peace is not about controlling what happens around you, but about surrendering to the one who controls everything. That is why the most peaceful people are not those with the most money, the most fame, or the most comfort. The most peaceful people are those whose hearts are alive with remembrance. Those who know that no matter what happens in this world, they have their Creator by their side. Think about the difference between someone who chases this world endlessly and someone who turns their heart to the eternal. The one who chases this world keeps running, always hungry, always restless, always comparing themselves to others. The one who turns their heart to the eternal learns contentment. They can enjoy blessings without being enslaved by them. They can lose blessings without being destroyed by them. Because their heart is no longer tied to the temporary, it is tied to the everlasting. If you feel like nothing satisfies you anymore, do not look for more distractions. Do not scroll endlessly. Do not bury yourself in work. Do not numb the emptiness with temporary pleasures. Stop. Be still. Reflect. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you truly turned your heart towards the one who created it? When was the last time you spoke to him sincerely when no one else was around? When was the last time you allowed yourself to cry, to admit your weakness, to admit your need for him? That moment, more than any achievement, more than any purchase, more than any relationship, will give you a peace that lasts. Because the truth is simple. The world will never be enough. It was never meant to be enough. You were created for something greater. And until you remember that, until you live with that awareness, you will keep chasing and chasing, only to find yourself more tired, more restless, more empty. But the moment you return, the moment you place your heart where it was always meant to be, the search ends. The emptiness is filled. The soul finally breathes. So the next time you feel like nothing satisfies you anymore, do not see it as a curse. See it as a call to pause, a call to return. A call to remember that peace was never outside of you. It was always within you, waiting for you to reconnect with the one who placed it there. And once you do, you will realize that true satisfaction was never far away. It was always with you, as close as your heart. Have you noticed how every time you finally get something you have been waiting for, it excites you for a little while, but then very quickly, the excitement fades away and you start searching for the next thing. It happens when you buy a new phone. For a few days it feels amazing. You cannot stop using it. You cannot stop looking at it. You feel proud of it. But soon after, the excitement is gone. And suddenly it just feels like another phone. And now you are already looking at what the newer model will be. It happens when you finally buy a car. For weeks you feel unstoppable. You drive it everywhere with pride. You clean it, you show it off. You feel like this is what you were waiting for, but after some time the car becomes normal, the feeling fades. And now your heart whispers, maybe if you had a better one, a faster one, or a more luxurious one, then you would finally feel complete. The same cycle repeats when you achieve something in life. When you graduate, when you get your first job, when you move into a bigger house, when you travel to the place you always dreamed of, the excitement is real, but it is short-lived. And very quickly your soul is restless again. looking for the next milestone, the next achievement, the next purchase, as if you are chasing a finish line that keeps moving further and further away. This is why life feels like a race with no end, because every time you reach what you thought was the end, you discover it is only the beginning of another chase. You thought when you got that job, you would finally feel at peace, but then you wanted a promotion. You thought once you earned a certain amount, you would feel secure. But once you reached it, you wanted more. You thought when you bought a house, you would finally feel settled. Once you moved in, you began dreaming of a bigger house in a better area. No matter how much you achieve, the hunger never seems to end. And deep inside you feel tired, because your heart keeps running but never finds rest. And this endless chase is not because you are greedy or ungrateful. It is because you are trying to satisfy something eternal with things that are temporary. And temporary things are not meant to give you lasting satisfaction. Think about it. The food you eat fills your stomach for a few hours, but then you are hungry again. The water you drink quenches your thirst for a short while, but then you are thirsty again. The same is true for your soul. When you feed it only with temporary achievements and possessions, it will never be satisfied for long, because the hunger of the soul is deeper than the hunger of the body. The soul is not just asking for another meal or another object. It is asking for meaning, for purpose, for peace that does not fade. And until you give it that, the chase will never end. The world keeps telling you that satisfaction is just one more step away, just one more purchase away, just one more success away, and you keep running, but once you get there, you realize the promise was empty, and you are still not satisfied. That is why so many people spend their whole lives running in circles, always busy, always chasing, always consuming. Yet inside they feel a deep emptiness they cannot explain. They convince themselves maybe the next chapter will be different. Maybe the next relationship will finally complete them. Maybe the next big opportunity will finally silence the restlessness. But every time they get it, the silence lasts only for a moment, and the restlessness returns. Life becomes like drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become, and the more restless your soul grows, and deep inside you know something is wrong, but you do not know how to stop running. And the truth is, you will never find peace in chasing what was never meant to last. You will never feel satisfied by things that fade. You will never feel complete by things that can break, wear out, or be taken away, because the heart was created for something greater than this world. And until you understand that, you will keep running and running, but never arriving. You will keep filling your hands, but your heart will remain empty. And the more you chase the temporary, the more the emptiness inside whispers, reminding you that what you are truly searching for cannot be bought, cannot be earned, cannot be held in your hands. It can only be found when you finally stop running in the wrong direction and turn your heart back to the source of peace that never ends. The heart is unlike anything else in the human body because it was created for something far greater than the temporary world we see around us. It was designed to connect with the eternal. You can fill your stomach with food and it will be satisfied for a while. You can rest your body on a comfortable bed and it will feel rested. You can give your mind entertainment and it will feel distracted. But the heart is different. The heart cannot be tricked. It cannot be fooled by temporary pleasures for long, because deep down it knows where it came from and what it is searching for. That is why even when you surround yourself with comfort, even when you collect achievements, even when you gain recognition, there is still an emptiness that lingers. Because the heart is not asking for more of the world. It is asking for its creator. It was designed to find peace only in remembrance and connection with the one who gave it life. And when it is cut off from that source, it begins to ache in ways that nothing in this world can heal. People often mistake this ache for loneliness or boredom or even depression, but in reality, it is the natural cry of a heart that is starving for what it was made to receive. Just like a fish cannot survive outside of water, the heart cannot survive in peace when it is disconnected from its purpose. Think about how life feels when you live only for the world. When your days are spent chasing more money, more attention, more possessions. At first there is excitement, but then it fades, and soon you are restless again. Why? Because you are feeding the heart with the wrong food. It is like trying to fuel a car with water instead of fuel. No matter how much you pour, the car will never move because you are giving it the wrong source of energy. In the same way, you can give the heart endless amounts of wealth, endless amounts of entertainment, endless amounts of worldly pleasure, and it will still feel heavy and restless because that is not what it was made to run on. The heart runs on light, it runs on remembrance, it runs on truth, it runs on the presence of the eternal, and without it, no matter what you achieve, no matter what you experience, the heart will remain hungry. This is why people can live in mansions yet feel empty inside. Why people can be surrounded by crowds yet still feel lonely. Why people can hold power and fame yet secretly feel broken. Because the heart was created for something beyond all of that. It was created for eternity. When you try to fill it with temporary things, it rejects them, keeps asking for more, it keeps pulling you towards something deeper, because it knows it was never designed to settle for less than its true source of peace. This is why history is full of stories of kings and rulers who had everything yet confessed that they were miserable, and also full of stories of people with very little who lived with smiles, who slept peacefully, who walked with contentment. Because the difference was never in what they had in their hands, it was in what they carried in their hearts. The heart that is connected to the eternal is alive. It feels light, even in difficulty. It feels peace even when the world is chaotic. It feels strength even when the body is weak, because it is anchored in something that never changes. But the heart that is disconnected keeps collapsing. It feels restless even in comfort. It feels empty even when surrounded by blessings. It feels heavy even when nothing is wrong, because it is missing the very thing it was created for. And no matter how far you try to run, no matter how many layers of distractions you try to cover it with, the heart will keep whispering to you, reminding you that nothing in this world will ever be enough, because you were not made for just this world, you were made for more. One of the greatest reasons nothing satisfies anymore is because of the trap of comparison, the constant measuring of your life against the lives of others. You wake up, and before you even speak a word to anyone, you open your phone and are immediately greeted with images of people who look happier, wealthier, more successful, and more fulfilled than you. You see someone younger than you driving the car you always dreamed of. You see someone living in a house larger than yours. You see someone traveling the world while you are stuck in the same routine. And slowly, without even realizing it, your heart begins to whisper that what you have is not enough. The clothes you once loved no longer feel special. The job you once prayed for suddenly feels boring. The life you once felt blessed to have suddenly feels small. And none of it changed except the fact that you compared it to what someone else has. That is the power of comparison. It blinds you to your blessings and makes you chase shadows that were never meant to be yours. Comparison creates an endless hunger, because no matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone with more. There will always be someone ahead of you. There will always be someone living what looks like a better life. And the more you look at them, the smaller your own life begins to feel. You begin to believe that happiness is somewhere out there, with someone else, that if only you had what they have, you would finally be at peace. But the truth is, even the people you envy are comparing themselves to others. Even the ones who look like they have everything are restless inside, because comparison is a cycle that never ends. It keeps moving the goal further away. It keeps telling you that happiness is in the next stage, the next purchase, the next achievement. But once you get there, the comparison returns, and suddenly what you achieved is not enough anymore. Think about how much of your life has been poisoned by comparison. You were happy with your phone until you saw someone with a newer one. You felt proud of your home until you visited someone with a bigger one. You were content with your salary until you heard someone else earns more. Nothing about your own life changed, but in a single moment, what once felt like a blessing now feels like a burden. simply because you looked at it through the lens of comparison. This is why so many people today feel empty, not because they have nothing, but because they are blinded to what they already have. They are living lives full of blessings, yet feeling poor inside, because they measure their worth by the highlight reels of others. Comparison does not just take away contentment, it also takes away gratitude. When your eyes are fixed on what others have, you stop seeing what is already in your hands. You stop appreciating your health, your family, your roof, your meals, your moments of peace, and instead you only notice what you lack. And when gratitude dies, satisfaction dies with it. Because the heart cannot feel full when it is constantly focused on what is missing. You end up in a race where no one ever wins, because no matter how much you gather, there is always someone who has more. And no matter how far you go, there is always someone ahead. The truth is, peace is never found in comparison. Peace is found in contentment. And contentment is not about having everything. It is about valuing what you already have. When you stop comparing, you begin to see the beauty in your own story. You begin to realize that every blessing you have today was once something you prayed for. You begin to feel a weight lift off your chest because you no longer measure your worth by the life of someone else. Comparison makes you chase endlessly, but contentment allows you to rest, and the heart that rests is the heart that finally feels alive. People spend years of their lives chasing success, convincing themselves that once they finally reach a certain goal, all the emptiness inside will disappear. You work day and night to get the degree. You sacrifice your sleep to climb the career ladder. You push yourself to earn more, to buy more, to build a name for yourself, believing that once you reach that point, you will feel complete. And yes, when success comes, it feels powerful, it feels exciting, it feels like everything was worth it. But after the celebration fades, after the applause dies down, after the promotion becomes normal, something inside still feels restless. You achieved what you thought would make you happy, but somehow the emptiness is still there. Why does this happen? Because success without purpose always feels empty. The world tells you that success is about numbers. Numbers in your bank account, numbers in your social media following, numbers in the size of your house or the speed of your car. And you chase those numbers. And when you reach them, you realize they do not satisfy the hunger of the heart. You see celebrities who have everything the world can offer, wealth, fame, admiration, yet behind closed doors they admit they feel lost, anxious, or broken. You see people at the top of their fields who confess that even though they reached what they dreamed of, it did not give them the peace they were searching for. Success by itself cannot cure the emptiness inside, because the heart does not only want achievement, the heart wants meaning. Imagine climbing a ladder for years, only to reach the top and realize the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. That is what happens when you chase success without purpose. You get to the top, but it does not feel like victory. It feels like a mistake, because deep down you know you were created for more than just collecting trophies or filling bank accounts. You were created for a higher purpose, and when that purpose is missing, no amount of success can fill the void. That is why people often reach their biggest goals and then fall into depression, because the world told them success was everything. But when they got there, they discovered it was not. Success without purpose is like drinking from a cup that looks full, but is actually empty. You keep sipping, expecting to be satisfied, but nothing quenches your thirst. It keeps you running faster, working harder, chasing bigger dreams, yet the peace you are looking for is always out of reach. True success is not just about what you build with your hands, it is about what you build within your soul. It's about aligning your work, your achievements, your goals with something eternal, something meaningful, something that outlives you. Without that, everything feels shallow, no matter how shiny it looks on the outside. This is why people can achieve so much and still feel small inside, because success was never meant to replace purpose. Purpose is what gives success its meaning. Purpose is what turns your hard work into fulfillment. Purpose is what transforms your achievements into peace. Without it, you will keep chasing new heights, but every height will feel the same. Every victory will taste bland. Every achievement will lose its shine, and you will realize that the emptiness inside cannot be silenced by success alone. Whenever that emptiness inside grows louder, the first thing most people do is try to cover it up with distractions. You feel lonely, so you grab your phone and scroll for hours. You feel stressed, so you turn on a movie or drown yourself in music. You feel restless, so you go out shopping for things you do not even need. And for a short while, it feels like the emptiness is gone. The screen keeps you entertained, the noise keeps your mind busy, the new purchase gives you a rush of excitement, and you convince yourself that maybe this is what you needed. But the moment you put the phone down, the moment the music stops, the moment the shopping bags are placed on the floor, the emptiness comes back, sometimes stronger than before, because distractions can numb the pain, but they can never heal the heart. The truth is, distraction is like putting a bandage on a deep wound without ever cleaning it. It may cover the problem for a little while, but the infection is still spreading inside. When you silence your heart with noise, you are not solving its cries. You are only delaying them. That is why people become addicted to distractions, because the moment they stop, the silence is too heavy, the reality is too loud, the emptiness is unbearable, so they rush back to the very things that keep them numb. Social media becomes an endless escape. Entertainment becomes an endless habit. Food, shopping, even overworking yourself becomes a way to avoid facing what is really happening inside. But no matter how many layers of distraction you pile on top of your heart, the ache remains waiting for you to face it honestly. You may convince yourself that as long as you stay busy, as long as you keep scrolling, as long as you keep moving from one thing to the next, you will not feel the emptiness. But the heart cannot be tricked forever. It will always remind you that the problem is not outside, it is inside. You can silence the voice of your soul for hours, days, or even years, but eventually it will come back, and often it will come back stronger than before. That is why so many people today live restless lives, constantly surrounded by noise but still feeling alone. Constantly entertained, but still feeling bored. Constantly buying new things, but still feeling empty. Because none of those distractions can ever give the heart what it is truly searching for. The truth is, distractions are comfortable because they are easy. It is easier to scroll than to reflect. It is easier to watch than to pray. It is easier to shop than to sit in silence with your own thoughts. But what is easy is not always what heals. Healing requires honesty, it requires stillness, it requires turning towards the very thing you keep avoiding. And that is the conversation between you and the one who created you. Distractions pull you away from that. They keep you numb long enough to forget what your soul truly needs. But the moment they fade, the need is still there, stronger than before. And until you address it, until you give the heart its real nourishment, the cycle will continue. And you will keep running back to the same distractions, hoping they will do more this time. But they never will, because they were never designed to. The emptiness you feel cannot be covered with noise. It cannot be buried under hours of scrolling. It cannot be healed by a shopping spree or a new show. It is far deeper than that. Distractions are like a mirage in the desert. They give you the illusion of relief, but when you reach them, you realize you are still thirsty. And the thirst grows heavier with every step. That is why nothing satisfies for long, because you are feeding the pain with illusions instead of truth. And the longer you run towards distractions, the further you drift from the real healing that is waiting for you, the healing that comes when you finally sit with your heart, when you finally admit that the noise is not enough, and when you finally return to the source of peace that distractions can never replace. Chasing the world is like chasing shadows. No matter how fast you run, no matter how hard you try, you can never catch it. You see something in front of you. You think it will finally bring peace, so you run after it. And for a moment it feels close, almost within reach. But the second you arrive, it slips further away, leaving you exhausted and still empty. This is the nature of the dunya. It is designed to keep you running but never arriving. Promising you comfort while draining you of your energy. Promising you happiness while leaving you restless, promising you fulfillment while leaving you thirsty for more. You buy the new thing and for a while you feel alive, but soon it becomes normal and you begin searching for the next. You reach a milestone and celebrate. But the very next day a voice inside you whispers that it is not enough, that you need to go further, that you need something else. And before you know it, your entire life becomes a cycle of running, chasing, grasping at shadows that disappear the moment you think you have caught them. The truth is, the dunya is not meant to satisfy, it is meant to test. It gives just enough to keep you curious, but never enough to make you complete. That is why a person can have wealth, status, followers, cars, houses, all the things people dream of, and still lie awake at night with an aching heart, still wake up in the morning with a restless soul, still feel like something is missing, even though from the outside they seem to have everything. Because the dunya was never built to fill the heart, it was only built to distract it. The more you chase, the more it runs, and the more it runs, the more you feel desperate to catch it, until your entire existence becomes nothing more than a pursuit of something that was never meant to be yours in the first place. Think about a child who sees the reflection of the moon in the water and runs into the pond trying to grab it. He splashes, he stretches, he dives, but the moon was never in the water to begin with. It was always above him, far beyond his reach, yet so clear to his eyes that he believes he can hold it. This is exactly how chasing the dunya feels. You see beauty, you see promises, you see pleasure. But the moment you try to hold it, it slips through your fingers, and the harder you try, the more frustrated and exhausted you become. But if that same child simply lifted his eyes from the water to the sky, he would realize the moon was never meant to be caught. It was meant to be admired from afar, a reminder of something greater, a sign pointing him upwards. In the same way, when you stop chasing the shadows of this world and start lifting your gaze towards the one who created it, the emptiness inside begins to settle. The restlessness begins to calm. Because now you are no longer running after illusions. You are walking towards truth. What makes the dunya so dangerous is that it disguises itself as the answer. It whispers that if you just get this one more thing, if you just reach this one more level, if you just achieve this one more dream, you will finally be content. But contentment never comes from catching shadows, it only comes from turning away from them. Because while shadows vanish, the light that creates them never disappears. And the light of Allah is always present, always constant, always there for the one who chooses to stop running in circles and instead walks straight towards Him. The more you chase the world, the further peace runs from you. But the more you turn towards Allah, the more peace. A person with gratitude can be in a simple room, wearing simple clothes, eating simple food, and yet feel like the richest person alive, because their heart has been trained to see gifts where others see nothing. Meanwhile, a person without gratitude can sit in luxury, surrounded by excess, and still feel poor, still feel empty, still feel restless, because their heart is blind to blessings. It is not wealth that makes you rich, it is gratitude. It is not success that makes you fulfilled, it is gratitude. It is not getting everything you want that makes you satisfied. It is learning to want what you already have. And here lies the secret. Gratitude is not waiting for life to be perfect before you appreciate it. Gratitude is looking at life right now with all its imperfections, with all its challenges, with all its struggles, and still recognizing that there are countless things going right. Countless gifts still surrounding you. If you wait for life to be flawless before you feel thankful, you will wait forever. But if you train your heart to be grateful in every season, in every moment, in every state, then your life becomes full even when it looks empty from the outside. Gratitude shifts the heart because it shifts your state of being. It does not depend on external conditions, it depends on internal awareness. When you practice gratitude, you begin to realize that happiness was never hiding in the next achievement, the next purchase, the next milestone. Happiness was hiding in the ability to pause, to reflect, to count your blessings, to acknowledge the gifts you already hold. Gratitude takes you out of the cycle of endless dissatisfaction and places you in a state of peaceful contentment. It allows you to step off the treadmill of always running and finally breathe, finally rest, finally live. And the moment your heart shifts into gratitude, you realize that nothing outside of you has to change for you to feel complete. Only the way you see it has to change. And once you reach that realization, you unlock a kind of satisfaction that no shadow of the dunya can ever take away. Every human being spends their life searching for satisfaction. Some look for it in wealth, thinking that if they earn enough, if they save enough, if they spend enough, their heart will finally rest. Some search for it in relationships, hoping that another human being will complete them, heal them, or fill the emptiness inside. Others chase it in success, believing that one more achievement, one more promotion, one more recognition will finally silence the voice inside that whispers, "It's not enough." And yet, no matter how much they gain, no matter how far they climb, no matter how deeply they indulge, the feeling of dissatisfaction always returns. The reason is simple. The heart was not created to be satisfied by this world. The heart was created by Allah, and it will never find rest until it returns to Him. Satisfaction comes from Allah alone, because He is the source of peace. He is the source of fulfillment. He is the one who designed your soul and knows what it truly needs. This is why people who seem to have everything on the outside still feel empty on the inside. They can travel to the most beautiful places, buy the most luxurious things, surround themselves with noise and entertainment. But when they lie down at night, when the world becomes quiet, they feel the same void inside, a void that nothing in this dunya can fill. And then you see people with so little, with barely enough to get by, with struggles that would break most hearts, and yet their faces shine with contentment, their words are full of gratitude, their souls radiate peace. The difference is not in what they have, but in where they turn. One turns endlessly to the dunya and comes back empty, while the other turns to Allah and finds the satisfaction that money, status, and pleasure could never provide. The truth is, your heart is like a container, and what you pour into it determines how it feels. Pour in endless desire, endless comparisons, endless distractions, and it will always remain restless, because the container was never meant to hold these things. Pour in the remembrance of Allah, pour in trust in Him, pour in gratitude, pour in prayer, and suddenly the same heart feels lighter, calmer, more fulfilled. You begin to realize that true satisfaction is not about how much you hold in your hands, but about what you hold in your heart. And the heart that holds Allah, the heart that remembers Him, the heart that relies on Him, becomes untouchable by the storms of life. It can go through loss and still stand. It can go through pain and still find peace. It can go through trials and still remain hopeful, because its anchor is not tied to this world, but to the one who controls it. Think about the times in your life when you felt closest to Allah. Maybe it was in the middle of the night when you raised your hands in prayer and cried your heart out. Maybe it was in sujood, when your forehead touched the ground and you felt a closeness words could not describe. Maybe it was during a hardship, when everyone else turned away and you had no one left but Allah. And in that moment of desperation, you felt a peace that did not make sense. Those are the moments that prove where satisfaction truly lies. Not in things, not in people, not in status, but in connection with the one who never leaves, never disappoints, never breaks his promise. And here is the reality. Everything in this world is temporary. Wealth fades, health declines, beauty changes, relationships come and go, status rises and falls. If your heart is attached to any of these, then your peace will rise and fall with them. But if your heart is attached to Allah, the one who never changes, the one who never dies, the one who holds everything in His control, then your peace becomes unshakable. This is why satisfaction only comes from Allah. Because only He is permanent, only He is sufficient, only He can give you what your soul is truly craving. When you finally understand this, life becomes simpler. You stop running in circles, you stop chasing shadows, you stop believing the lie that the next thing will complete you. Instead, you start to live with presence, with gratitude, with awareness. You enjoy the blessings of this world without clinging to them, because your heart knows where its true home is. You work hard, but you do not rely on the work. You love people, but you do not worship them. You enjoy success, but you do not attach your worth to it. Everything becomes lighter, because your heart has shifted from creation to the Creator. The secret to satisfaction is not in adding more to your life, but in anchoring your heart to Allah. Once you do that, you can walk through the world without being enslaved by it. You can enjoy its beauty without being deceived by it. You can handle its trials without being destroyed by them. Because your heart has finally found what it was always searching for: the nearness of Allah, the remembrance of Allah, the satisfaction that comes only from Him. At the end of the day, the reason nothing seems to satisfy you anymore is not because life is empty, but because the heart is searching for the one who created it. The world can give you moments of pleasure, but only Allah can give you lasting peace. The world can distract you for a while, but only Allah can fill the emptiness inside. The world can hand you temporary comfort, but only Allah can give you eternal contentment. So stop running after shadows and start turning back to the source of light. The satisfaction you are craving, the peace you are yearning for, the fulfillment you are chasing, it has always been with Allah. And the moment you let Him into your heart fully, that is the moment you will finally understand what it means to be truly satisfied.